wants to be able to make business smoother in Rhode Island, he says, and he wants your help. Welcome into My State of Mind. I am Dan York. Let's start another week. Feels like summer. What a weekend, huh? Holy cow. A little cooler temperatures, a little more temperate. This is my Tony Petrarca routine, I guess, that I'm doing here. But it was a pleasure to have summer introduced to us this past weekend. But we don't have a lot of time to talk about the weather. Joe Trillo was here, the state representative from Warwick. He's starting a new commission to get input from small businesses about how things can be streamlined here in this state to make it more effective for you to do business. Some would say, well, yeah, we've tried that before. Well, we'll see what Joe is bringing to the table that is brand new. A couple of program notes, two at least. Number one, on WPRI Channel 12 tomorrow night from 7 to 8 is the Democratic gubernatorial debate. And because that is preempting Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy on Channel 12, those programs will move to MyRI TV tomorrow night, which means that at 7:30 here, I shall be preempted. We will have our 11:30 repeat broadcast, which will be a former broadcast on the challenges of drug overdose by prescription. Did you follow all that? So I won't be with you at 7:30 tomorrow night, but I will be back on Wednesday. That will happen again one time next week when the Republicans debate on Channel 12 and Wheel and Jeopardy moved over, TV contracts and all that kind of stuff. But do not fret if you do not see me tomorrow. Enjoy your Jeopardy. But more importantly, I say enjoy your gubernatorial debate over on Channel 12. You got all that? All right, let's go to the rundown and check things out. The quickest ultimate hearing. Yeah, it feels very token to me, but we'll see what comes of it. I cannot believe that nobody in law enforcement has asked the question, and there are plenty of them. More campaign ads reviewed and debuted. It's kind of a rhyme, sort of. Come on, man. There's a principal concept here that so many politicians miss. This, I thought, was a moment of that, and America dumps on the guy. And game 3 tonight, I don't know. Doesn't feel so good to me. All right, let's run through these things, but give it the proper poise and time because I have some things to say on my state of mind of the quickest ultimate hearing. Yeah, so we learned today that the 38 Studios saga continues to roll through Smith Hill.
Chairwoman Macbeth has made the request that her particular bill be heard. I honored the request. Let all the folks that are in favor of the payment come in. Let all the folks...
Well, that was a button push inadvertently. We'll regroup on that, and things happen in live television. Okay, so we learned today that the 38 Studios situation is up for more discussion tomorrow in House Finance. There's a bill, there's Kurt Schilling. You know him. I mean, we've seen this bureau over and over again, that fateful day when he had the big meeting on how broke he was, da-da-da-da-da. So we find out that Karen Macbeth, the chairperson of House Oversight, who has really been stripped of her power because her boss, Speaker Mattiello, won't give subpoenas out to bring people to the table to tell stories about how 38 Studios actually got to where it is. Well, she's been pretty, diminished by this whole process. She has a bill of her own in that says don't pay the 38 Studios debt. Like that money is actually in the big bill, for the overall budget. But she's asking a specific question and putting in a bill that says don't pay it. So I think kind of on a token level, Speaker Mattiello is giving her a little bit of an olive branch and racing the question through House Finance with 1 day's notice. Here's what he said to radio and other reporters today.
Chairwoman Macbeth has made the request that her particular bill be heard. I honored the request. Let all the folks that are in favor of the payment come in. Let all the folks that are against the payment have come in. I hope every citizen in the state watches the debate.
And we'll see how vociferous the debate is based on how many people show up. I think the debate should still be vociferous. We'll see how much energy Rhode Island has for the conversation. Speaking of 38 Studios, though, this next thing is, when I read this in the paper today, I thought to myself, no one's asked the question, really? State Representative John Breen, former, he was unelected in 2012 when he got beat in a Democratic primary in Woonsocket, is the subject of a front page story today where he says, I was like the perfect foil in a doomed deal. It seems that John Breen was the actual third signature on the proposed legislation. I believe it was Steve Constantino, the House Finance Chairman, Haley O'Malley, the Vice Chairman, and then they got Breen, who was not in the clique, so to speak, to also sign on. And he told me today on the radio that some enterprising television reporter asked why he was the third signature. He didn't think it was a television story, so he didn't give an interview, but he gave it to Kathy Gregg of the Providence Journal so she could write a long narrative about it. What I found interesting about this is that, Breen was looking for some other kind of legislation to go along with the loan guarantee program that enabled the 38 Studios thing. And he talked to me on the radio today about, how the deal kind of set up perfectly.
I think it ended up being the perfect way to say, hey, look, this is not an insider game. This is not an insider's bill, because we've got leadership. We've got a guy who seemingly we don't like. It doesn't really like us. And we're taking on his bill. And this is all about economic development. This is all about jobs. This isn't a political thing. This is just a great kumbaya moment where we all come together to put this forward.
And of course, the thing that really strikes me about this is that nobody in law enforcement is asked. Look at this from the story. I've never been contacted by anybody about anything, which is funny because I'm one of the only 3 people on the bill. Yeah, so this notion that we've got a real intense law enforcement investigation of 38 Studios, I don't know, man. If you haven't asked one of the 3 sponsors, who said what to you about what, it doesn't seem like it's very vociferously, well, that's the wrong word, very aggressively being investigated to me. What a mess that whole thing is. Okay, next item. The politics of running for governor are very interesting. You remember this last week when the blockhead ad was introduced. This is Ellen Fung, Mayor Cranston, Republican, trying to poke fun at Ken Block, calling his voters blockheads for supporting Ken Block. And his primary claim is that Block is a big Obamacare supporter. Well, the Block campaign was crying for a PolitiFact review from the Providence Journal, and they got one. In true to form, they got one that said, you know what, the whole thing is a pants-on-fire ad, meaning none of it's true, and the Fung campaign is slinging it. They didn't even get into the Chafee administration references in it, that Block was, a Chafee advisor and all that kind of thing. They just stayed on the Obamacare thing. So the Block campaign took a little bit of a hit. The Fung campaign took a little bit of a hit today, being told their pants were on fire. Block, meanwhile, introduces his brand new ad. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Ken Block. I'm running for governor, and I'm going door to door telling folks about my plan to reform Rhode Island. It's called 3-2-1. For every $3 in spending cuts, 2 go toward tax cuts, and 1 toward fixing our broken state budget. I've identified hundreds of millions of dollars in waste that we'll use to cut corporate and personal taxes, to create new jobs and provide tax relief. 3-2-1, because together we can fix Rhode Island.
A little corny with the people smiling and a little stilted, but you know what? 3-2-1, people get that kind of stuff. And if it catches and everyone walks around with a 3-2-1 financial idea, Ken Block has something substantial for people to kind of relate to. Corny? Yes. Effective? Maybe. Next item here. Give the money back. Look, I saw this in the newspaper today, in the Providence Journal. This is the political scene column that appears every Monday, and on the far right is this little ditty about Angel Tavares, who was learned to have gotten some money from this guy, Michael Corso. Corso is one of the players on the 38 Studios deal, right? He's one of these. He's the big financial guy. He's up to his ears in this whole thing. Well, reportedly, he's given a couple $1,000 worth of donations to this guy, Angel Tavares, the mayor of Providence, who's running for governor. And when learned, Tavares decided he's going to send the money, or the equivalent amount of money, to the community food bank. Politicians do this stuff all the time with the political campaigns. Can I explain something to everybody? When Michael Corso sends money to Angel Tavares, it's a First Amendment exercise. It says, look, I have a relationship with you. I support you. If a candidate doesn't want that relationship with you, then the candidate should send the money back to you. Now, the food bank always needs the dough. But, ipso facto, Corso has actually donated to the food bank. if you don't want a relationship with somebody and you don't want to take their money, you take the money and you send it back to them. Angel Tavares, ding dong. And every other politician who does the same thing, ding dong. Ugh, drives me crazy. Next item. Raw honesty. Real quickly, you saw this headline, maybe like one today. Now, Steve Coburn, who owns California Chrome, co-owner, is very ashamed of himself. Did you see after Chrome lost to Tonalist, who I had? I didn't get the triple. I was close. I was close. Anyway, here was the owner, very upset after the race.
It's not fair to these horses that have been in the game since day one. I look at it this way. If you can't make enough points to get in the Kentucky Derby, you can't run in the other two races. It's all or nothing. Because this is not fair to these horses that have been running their guts out for these people and for the people that believe in them. For have somebody to come up like this is a coward's way out, in my opinion. This is a coward's way out.
And people were asking me, Dan, what do you think about that? I thought it was raw, it was real, but in 2 days' time, America's media and America, I guess, beat the tar out of him so that he crawled for mercy today. Here's just some of what he had to say. I apologize to the winners. I apologize about the race. I apologize to everybody. I apologize, I apologize, I apologize. In America today, you can't think raw and get away with it. In a country that's inspired by a First Amendment, we hardly use it and let it breathe. It's not a big deal. Game 3 tonight. Oh boy, doesn't it feel like it is over though? Whatever 3 Ranger fans are left in this audience, you saw the over. I don't think so, but you never know. Joe Trillo wants to improve the job market around here, or the business climate rather. Stay with us, he'll tell you how to do it. So this is a little press release that the Republicans at the legislature gave us the other night about, improving the business climate. Can we put that up? There we go. House Commission sets first meeting and looking into rules. So Joe Trillo is here because he is heading up this effort. And hey, but look, what are you doing? What are you doing? The guy who runs Trillo, he doesn't like our camera angles. He says, you shoot me the wrong way. He thinks he's got a bad profile. I've got the worst profile on television.
You want to bet? Look at this one.
You know what? Let's spend the next 10 minutes talking about who's got the worst profile on television, for crying out loud. I needed a good laugh because it's been one of those kind of Mondays for me anyway. Oh, my goodness. All right, so two bad profile guys are going to talk here. And if you don't like the camera angles, the heck with you. You got a good project going on here, do you not?
We do have a very exciting project going on, and we need your help, and we need the help of the public to really make this project succeed. What we're looking to do is we're looking to go in and ask business people what rules and regulations have they encountered in their lifespan or recently that they feel have been overburdensome for them to adhere to. And I want them to either send me the list or call me, and I'm willing to give my phone number. Is that okay if I do that?
We have that. We have that in the graphic, and we're ahead of you. And this is like a real television show where we shoot profiles the right way, and we put information up. We've got that. Calling all right and doing so. There's Joe's. Call him 8269. Just load his phone up at 826-9100. reptrillo@AOL.com. You know, after you were on the radio with me last week, I got some emails and some people that said, haven't we done this before, for crying out loud?
Well, the government has tried to do it before for you. We have an Office of Regulatory Reform, which is under the Department of Administration, which is under the governor. And what they did was they went after all rules and regulations, not necessarily just the ones that affect business. They went after too many rules and regulations. The other thing that they did was one governmental agency went to another governmental agency and said, give me a list of whatever rules you want to get rid of. And so they dug into the trash bin and they came up with whatever rules they didn't think they needed anymore. What we want to do is we want to go into the businesses and we want the people to tell us what rules and regulations that they've encountered that they think are over the top and unfair.
It'll be a long list.
It will be a long list. And then we want to bring the agencies in, which we, the General Assembly, have a certain amount of power over because we fund their budgets. So we now bring the agencies in. It's different than a governmental agency going to another governmental agency. They have no power over that agency, so the agency can basically tell them to get lost. They can't do that with the General Assembly.
You really think this is, well, obviously you wouldn't be playing around and doing the show and da-da-da and doing the commission if you didn't think it was worthwhile. Rhode Islanders have a pessimism about whether or not anything will ever clear the way. You know, after we talked the other day, or maybe we talked when, I think, actually I asked you the question, will there ever be a time when Rhode Island can actually say, come to Rhode Island, the simplest place to do business, meaning no red tape? That would be a worthy goal, don't you think?
It's absolutely a worthy goal. And you know, it's such a small state, it's an easy goal to achieve. The problem is we have all these stumbling blocks in the way to achieve them, and it's not easy to push them out of the way. I could give you a list of ways we could change things, but in order to do them, we would have to be able to just push blocks out of the way.
You're a small business owner and a successful one.
For the most
You've
part,
sold.
I did sell.
You're out, but
I'm
I
out.
mean, there was a time when we used an example of red tape back after the Station nightclub fire and that terrible response. I mean,
Right.
that was the worst tragedy we've ever had in Rhode Island. But the fire code response just absolutely strangled every business. You know, you and I used to
It is
run
still
around.
doing it to smaller businesses today. Today I got a call from somebody on that same issue. Fire code runs a place in Providence, a multi-use building, and now all of a sudden they're being hit with a very expensive fire alarm, municipal fire alarm connections. The buildings are not worth that much money to be
Overkill.
able to put $40,000 or $50,000
So
fire alarms.
there's a tangible example of what we're talking about in terms of the red tape, and there's only a list this long. So again, when we come back, I'll give you the information, the phone number again, and ask the rep about some of the things going on Smith Hill as we speak. Stay with us. So again, here's that information on Joe Trillo. Well, it's not his Social Security number or his criminal record, which he has none of. But here's his telephone number, 826-9100, and let him know what you think about his profile, rebtrillo@aol.com.
Please don't let me know that.
He likes, and by the way, you know Trillo talks. That show shoots him the right way. I mean, telegraphically.
Absolutely. The way this show shoots you the right way.
The 38 Studios thing is interesting. Rep. Mattiello has put the Karen Macbeth question to defund 38 Studios in the hopper. Token effort to say, so sorry that I decapitated you by not issuing subpoenas. What's your thoughts?
This whole 38 Studios thing, I'm not supporting it, but I could argue it either way. I mean, we could, if you ever wanted to play an argument either way, I could do it with you. Do I think that he's doing it to appease
Now,
it?
when you say
To some extent.
you don't support the funding.
No, I don't support the funding.
But he's giving her a little bite at the apple because she's decapitated. She's got no subpoena power. He won't issue any, so her oversight effort is nullified, more or less, right?
Well, I'm not sure she couldn't have got anybody to testify before the committee. But I understand his position on it. He doesn't want to be, we're a governing body. He doesn't want to be an enforcement body. To some extent, I understand the position he's taking.
They have oversight over what they do all the time. Well, Rhode Island can't replicate what Washington does and have hearings on its own behavior.
Sure they can, but now you're talking about subpoena power. That's a different story.
They have that in Washington.
Washington, don't compare Washington to here, because that's a totally different ball game.
All right, well, there's a little political science we got going on. By the way, speaking of political science, you put me on the floor last week with your discussion of Fung and Block. You are a stalwart Republican. You're not happy with either of those guys. Is that right?
You caught me when I just.
What did you say?
I got all this negative. I got all this negative stuff back and forth between the two camps, and I'm quite frankly, I'm upset with the both of them for the way that they've been behaving, beating each other up. It's like, let the Democrats beat each other up. So this is like two Republicans.
Do you think they've been
behaving,
equal in beating each other up, or is Fung brought it?
I
the
think
blockhead ad?
I think Fung has started it, but I think that it's been going both ways. Certainly behind the scenes.
No
talk.
doubt. Yeah.
And
Have you decided if you're going to support one of those two guys, or you're going to stay out of the race?
they don't need my support now.
No. Damn, I thought you'd walk into that one. After what you said last week, what did you say? It's like choosing the best of the worst. Joe, can I have your endorsement? I don't think so. Hey, this is a great project. Again, listen, if you got an idea on how to streamline business, let Rep Trillo know, and come back when you start to get some data, will you?
I will.
Come back anytime.
I will.
We'll try to fix the
We're all
cameras
done
for
now?
your profile. We're all done.
That's
Much
it?
shorter show than yours.
Holy cow.
Quality versus quantity.
Wow.
All right, when we come back, your state of mind. Stay with us. All righty, welcome back in. Your state of mind, this is how you get in touch with us. Perhaps you have a thought or two about what Joe Trillo has to say about making it better environment for business around here, or maybe the politics of the 38 Studios. 228-1886 is the phone number. stateofmind@myritv.com is the email. And, of course, you can Facebook and tweet at me at Dan York Show, YORKE. Don't forget that. Here's a voicemail that we just received.
When I was delivering mail to Martin Junior High in East Providence, I saw all these kids lining up. And I said, what do they get, lining up for the lunch program? The secretary said, no, they're getting their medication. When I was in grade school, my medication was the belt. They're getting ADD pills.
That's the reaction to our conversation last week about 3 times the amount of kids in DCYF getting medication for their behavior. Seems like it's way too much. So the belt, that's another story. I got a couple stories myself, but whatever. Again, program note, I will not be here tomorrow night. Jeopardy will. Make sure you tune in to Channel 12 for the Democratic gubernatorial debate, and we'll be back on Wednesday. We'll be on at 11:30 both nights, though. You got all that? We'll see you.